Hey, what's up? This is Antonio. Welcome back to my channel. Now, who's ready for some fighting words? In this video, I want to do a fight breakdown for Anthony Yarde versus David Benavidez. Really quick, if you like the videos, please take the time right now, subscribe to the channel. Literally takes one click. Also, if you could, hit that thumbs up button. It shows love and it supports the channel. Lastly, please circulate the videos, tell a friend. So, we have David Benavidez. It looks like he will be defending his WBC against none other than Anthony Yarde, which is a good fight. Both guys bring the action, they bring the pain. So I'm not mad at this. Let's start this thing off with resume. We have David Benavidez. We have 30 wins, 24 KOs, 0 losses. While we have Anthony Yarde, we have 27 wins, 24 KOs, 3 losses, 2 by knockout. Okay, so when it comes to knockout power, I'm still going to give it to Anthony Yarde. I think one-punch knockout power, he's clearly the bigger man. He's clearly been fighting bigger people longer, and David Benavidez hasn't been able to put these bigger guys out. Especially, well, in his last fight, he really hasn't been able to put these bigger guys out. I don't think he's never really had one-punch knockout power to begin with, but he's not putting these guys out. So I think if they both just one punch, I'm going to give it to Anthony Yarde. You know, he looks like a football player, and he probably hits like 1-2. Let's see. Resume. Who's got a better resume? By far, David Benavidez. By far. He just beat Morel, Alexander. I'm not even going to try to pronounce his last name, but you know what I'm talking about. Also, Andrade. Demetrius Andrade. The guy that everybody was afraid of. The guy that nobody was trying to fight. The guy that everybody was avoiding, including both Charlo twins and Caleb Plant. So clearly when it comes to resume, we're going to give it to David Benavidez. Boxing IQ, I think David Benavidez, I think he just overwhelms people. I think Anthony Yarde has a boxing IQ, but I think it's like more flash. The problem with all that flash and all that muscle at the same time is you get tired. And over the duration of the fight, he tends to get slower and slower and slower to the point where he's no good. And his gas tank is completely spent. When it comes to IQ, I got to give it to David Benavidez. I think he is more of a boxing brain. And I think in terms of his punch selection, of what's going to be most effective with an opponent. Not to mention, I think the output as well, which is obvious when it comes to David Benavidez. But when I look at Anthony Yarde, I don't think he has the highest boxing IQ. I think he's extremely creative, and I think he's also extremely daring in the ring, but I don't necessarily think it's the highest boxing IQ. And throughout the duration of his career, I've always questioned why he didn't leave Tundi. I don't think that's the best trainer for him. I think he should come to the States and get some training. But you know, he's gotten where he's gotten thus far, and he's at that point in his career where he's not going to the Hall of Fame anyway. So I guess it doesn't really matter. Let's just ride this thing out. Let's see, speed. I don't know. Both these guys are fast. I'm going to have to give this a tie. Both of these guys are fast. I can't take anything away from Anthony Yarde. Both of these guys are fast. When it comes to speed, both of these guys are fast. David Benavidez might be a notch faster in terms of just throwing a fast combination, a fast 4-5 punch combination. But Anthony Yarde is not slow at all. His reflexes are cat-like, especially before the 6th round. Everything with Anthony Yarde changes after the 6th round. But before the 6th round, he's a very dangerous, very game, and very spot-on opponent. Defense. It was better defense. Neither one of them has great defense. I mean, David Benavidez is just really strong, and he's really durable. He can just take a lot. But is he, like, super slick? No. Is he anything special in terms of defense? No, I'm not going to lie. No, he isn't. Does he have great footwork? No, not really, because the way he fights, he doesn't necessarily need it. Anthony Yarde does have great footwork. Anthony Yarde can slip punches really, really well. The problem is everything changes after the 6th round. That's the problem. If he can be consistent, this is a whole different fight. But the fact of the matter is he can't. His history has shown that he can't be consistent. He can't do this for 12 rounds. That's the problem. He can't do it for 12 rounds. If he could do it for 12 rounds, this is a whole different fight breakdown. But he can't do it for 12 rounds. So that's the problem when it comes to Anthony Yarde. Mental toughness. I got to give it to Anthony Yarde when I say this. He's never ducked smoke. Win, lose, or draw, he's never ducked smoke. He's never been the guy to say, I'm not going to fight that guy. He's never ducked any smoke. However, you got to give it to the Mexican Monster. He's beaten everybody who's been in front of him. He's beaten guys that Canelo should have been fighting, and he beat those guys. Again, Demetrius Andrade, Morale. Canelo could have fought either one of those guys, but he didn't want it with either one of those guys. But he could have fought those guys. He should have fought those guys. Benavidez took him on, and he beat them. He beat them. So, when it comes to mental toughness, you got to give it to David Benavidez because he's not ducking anything. And he wants the most credible, the most difficult fight. The fight that's going to make you and myself say, that guy is the crown king of boxing. That's the fight he wants. You got to give him credit for that. You have to. Let's see. Durability. Anthony Yarde is a tough guy. And he is the type of guy who's going to go out on his shield. If he could maintain his cardio, he wouldn't have to have gone out on his shield at least two of his 3 losses. But because he doesn't have that cardio, you got to give it to David Benavidez. You have to say it because he's been hit with everything. He's been on the canvas. He's gotten back up. Anthony Yarde's been on the canvas, and he tried to get back. One thing about Anthony Yarde, he's coming to fight. He's going to give you and myself bang for buck. We're paying for these tickets. We're paying for this stuff, and he's going to provide a very entertaining fight. Win, lose, or draw. Got to give it to him. David Benavidez, the same way. He's going to hawk you and try to get you out of there. Same way. So, yeah, durability, you got to give it to David Benavidez. He's undefeated. You got to give it to David Benavidez because he's been down, he's got back up, and he still won the fight. I look at Anthony Yarde, he didn't. He could have won that bone crusher fight. He didn't. And he was right there. He could have won that. That's this mental toughness. Just a few more punches. It's just a few more punches. He had bone crusher hurt. It's just a few more punches. It's just a little bit more pain. He didn't. David Benavidez, the Mexican Monster. Range. It was a better range. Here's the problem. I'm going to sound like a broken record. Before the 6th round, Anthony Yarde is a monster and dangerous anywhere. He's fast. For his size, he's fast. And he has cat-like reflexes. The problem is, after the 6th round, he becomes a regular dude. He turns back into Clark Kent. David Banner, he's no longer the Hulk. That's the problem. If he could maintain being Superman, if he could maintain being the Hulk for 7 more rounds, things change. But he can't. You got too much muscle, and you're expending too much energy jumping around like that. You're not Roy Jones. That's the problem. So when it comes to range, I got to give it to David Benavidez. I think he fights well on the inside. I think he's much better on the outside. He's very tall, very lanky, has those long arms. I think he's much better on the outside, but he can handle himself on the inside. So I got to give it to David Benavidez as well. Let's see. Creativity. I'm going to give it a tie. All right. Anthony Yarde does things that are just really cool. They're like Roy Jones type like things. So they're really cool. But when you're talking about a crazy, crazy, crazy combination, 5-punch combination, David Benavidez. He doesn't have the footwork or anything, which makes the things that Anthony Yarde does even more cool because he does it with the footwork and the special effects. But I'll give it a tie. Because Anthony Yarde can do some pretty cool things when he wants to. When he's totally dialed on and locked in, and it's before the 6th, 7th round, he can do some pretty amazing things. Why do you look at David Benavidez? He can hit you with a lot of punches really fast. But I'm going to give that one a tie. Dog. Who has more dog in them? It's the last round. You're both tired. Both have gotten their speeches in the corner. Now they're coming out for that last bell. Who's got more dog? Well, Yarde did pick himself off the canvas several times to fight on. But the problem is he doesn't have reserves. That's an ongoing issue. He just doesn't have reserves. You look at David Benavidez, I feel like he gets better as the rounds go on. He has reserves. He has reserves. He has reserves, and he's mean. He's mean. He's got that dog in him. I got to go with David Benavidez, the Mexican monster, when it comes to dog. Last but not least, who's more dangerous? Who's more dangerous? Well, he's got the cardio. He has the punch output. He's undefeated. He's fought, in my opinion, the tougher competition. I'm going to go with David Benavidez, the Mexican monster. I think he will be holding on to that title. I don't think it's going anywhere. I don't think it's going anywhere. I think after that 7th round, there's going to be a dramatic shift. And it's going to be shifting in the way of David Benavidez, and he's going to turn it up a notch and throw even more punches than the previous rounds. And it's going to be way too much for Anthony Yarde. And I think David Benavidez can physically get Anthony Yarde out of there. That is my fight breakdown and prediction. Drop your thoughts down below.